Welcome, everyone, to episode 36 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. We are here to talk about NXT and SmackDown, and my co-host over here has decided that we haven't beaten Rona yet. So, yeah, we've got that going. He is sick, so cut him some slack, all four of you, as we bear through this episode. And first, we're going to talk about the first match featuring the Rascals versus Gallus. One thing I will say about this match is I know a lot of people liked it, but I'll tell you why I didn't. It's because it involved Wesley. They're just a little too cartoony for me. First of all, they're grown men, and their name is the Rascals. That's number one. That's strike one for me. And I play a game of baseball where you only need one strike to be out. So I'm out, dog, as Randy Jackson would say. They appear to be somewhat talented, and I can recognize that.
Somewhat,
just not my cup of tea.
Come on.
Not my cup of tea.
Stop it.
Not my cup of tea.
Somewhat. I've never seen them as a group before. That was pretty impressive to me. That was very, and you know how we've talked before about some of these tag match or some of these tag teams, some of the tag team moves take a little while to get to, or like the setup's too long. That was not the case with any of this. It was, I really enjoyed it. But again, on the flip side of that, NXT has a bad habit of building up these people who come back like a big deal and then have them rack up a bunch of losses. They did it with Shawn Spears initially. I think they're kind of starting to steer that in the opposite direction now. They're doing it here.
With Gallus.
They're doing it here with Gallus. They did it later on in the show, which we'll get to, which just kind of I know what they're getting at and what the end game is with what happened later in the show, but still, it's I just don't get it.
Yeah, and again, I can understand why somebody would enjoy this match, and I'm a hater, and if I don't like something, it's tough for me to change my mind about it, but it's just a style that's not necessarily for me. I don't like a lot of the NXT acts because they're just a little too childish for me, and they're just a little too childish for me, and they're campy. Their entering is fine. Their entering is good. Their entering is good, but they're just do a lot of campy things from what I've seen in the past 2 weeks. It just isn't quite for me, and I think that kind of clouds my vision when I'm watching one of their matches because I know the type of people that they are. And again, this is something that's not going to work in the main roster, in my opinion. I think that there's a couple small tweaks they could make to make it work on the main roster. I don't know if that's their intention or if the other two members of the Rascals are going back to TNA. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with the three of these guys, but if they were to try to make a stable when they come up to the main roster, I just don't think it would work. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I saw somebody on Twitter, I think it was, suggest they should bring back 205 Live. And I think that maybe that wouldn't be that bad of an idea because I think that guys like this could work on 205 Live individually or together or however they want to do it. And there's a number of other wrestlers who could afford to have screen time, and I don't need them on my Raw or SmackDown screens. But if 205 was around and you wanted to give them time on there, I think that would be perfect for them. A guy like Apollo Crews or a guy like, even though I mean he's pretty thick, we'd be stretching the limits of 205 with him. But just guys like him, not him, but guys like him. I just think that that they should go back to that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm sure their numbers weren't that great, which is why it doesn't exist anymore. But I think there's a place for 205 Live.
Or even if now granted, I have no idea how this speed thing is going in terms of clicks on X. I have no idea.
I'm sure it's going well. WWE just they They get so many clicks for whatever they do.
They even put it there.
Yeah, something. But there's a 0% chance that I will ever watch a WWE Speed anything. Just throwing that out there. They don't even care enough to let the champion bring his title out. So I mean, why should I care? Why should I care? I think it's Andrade. Maybe it's the Speed champion right now, and they don't even let him bring his title. So I don't see myself watching it until they take it more seriously. When they take it serious, I'll take it serious. But I don't see what the problem would be with him bringing his title out. They make everybody else carry their titles everywhere they go. Like they want to go out to dinner with the family. They got to bring their title with them, but they can't let Andrade have it on TV. I don't even know what the thing looks like. I have no idea what it looks like. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't even know how I got there. But we also got, after this match, we saw Gallus backstage stewing over their loss, and one of them mentioned the name of Joe Coffey, and when you say his name, he'll appear. I'm sorry, not Joe Coffey, Joe Hendry. When you say his name, he will appear, I believe.
Oh, God.
Hendry. No, and he was also on commentary for this match.
Yeah, after Vic Joseph mentioned his name, much to the chagrin of Booker T.
Yeah. I think Joe Hendry was in 3 segments. I think he was in 3 segments this week.
I like that coat. I like that coat he had on.
I think that NXT has a problem with booking too many people for too many segments week after week after week after week. I think that's actually a problem throughout the entire company, because Judgment Day, if they're on TV, they get 10 segments a show.
But the fans ate it up every time, though.
That's true. But I think with a guy like Joe Hendry, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like he has a gimmick that is eventually going to wear thin.
Yes, agreed.
I don't think it's something that has staying power, so I think that you should have him in doses. You don't want to oversaturate. I know you're trying to capitalize on him while he's hot, but at the same time, you should want him to stay hot. And he's not going to stay hot if you just keep putting him on every segment.
Speaking of which, do we know who came out the victor in the TNA title match this weekend? Because I do not. He was involved in it, though.
Yes, and it was not him.
Did Moose retain?
No, Moose was the first person eliminated.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Really?
Moose was the first person eliminated.
Moose has had that title for a long time, too.
And he does not have it anymore. But I do not remember who has it. Somebody pinned Joe Hendry to get it, and I just don't know who the gentleman is. If I knew who I did watch the final sequence on the internet, but I just don't know who the gentleman is, and I don't think I was watching it with sound. So, yeah, but Moose was the first person eliminated. But from all accounts, it was, the match of the night for that pay-per-view, from what I saw, was Mustafa Ali versus a gentleman who I had never seen before, whose last name I believe is Elliott. I don't know his first name, and I could also be wrong about his last name. But he was a gentleman who I did not know, but apparently he was the a lot of people were saying I don't understand his gimmick, but this match made me understand his gimmick. But I heard that was the match of the night for that pay-per-view. I don't watch TNA. I probably can count on 2 hands the amount of times that I've seen it. But I do think it's better than AEW, if we're going to be honest. From the things that I like about wrestling. And again, I understand this is not for everyone. This is not me bashing AEW. I just don't like that style. I prefer TNA style, which is closer to the WWE.
Yep. All right. Yeah. I was just curious if he had won or not. But man, if they took the main title off Moose, hey, that more chance of him showing up at NXT.
Yeah, I saw a couple of moves that Moose has, and again, I don't know a lot about the wrestlers in TNA. I've seen Moose a handful of clips. He's got this spear that he does where he like flips after he does it, and for a guy his size, he spears him, and then somehow his legs go like this. He does like a back, like all in one motion, spears, and then like does like a backflip to like highlight the power of the move. But it's impressive for a guy his size to be able to do something like that. He moves much better than a person with that much mass should be able to move. So good on him. I wouldn't mind seeing more of him, but I don't want to see him in NXT. He's the kind of guy who I want to see go against like Braun Breaker on the main roster.
Right.
I think that would be a good match. Maybe, I don't know. I've seen 5 minutes of his career, but it was an impressive 5 minutes. All right, we've gone way off the rails, so let's move over to Thea Hale talking to Roxanne Perez in a segment here. What did you think of this back and forth segment?
Thea Hale may be the best on the mic for the ladies over there.
Yeah, she's not bad.
That came across as very natural. Her at no point during that back and forth did I think that she had been handed a script to review.
Yeah,
it just came across as very natural. That, and like, my kids say this, I've said this, like, she's just, I personally am not a fan of the hyper aspect of her character, how hyper and fired up. I like that in doses, like in the middle of a match, like when you're making the babyface comeback or where the heel is getting decimated and then hits a move to equal the odds kind of a thing and gets fired up. I like that in small doses.
Mm-hmm.
And just, the fact that she's great on the mic, if they just make those minor tweaks, I think, she's going to be golden. Like,
yeah.
But
she's 20 or 21.
Yeah. But I think
she's even younger than Roxanne Perez, which is crazy.
But I think, and with that said, she got plenty of time, but they've got to get her out of Chase U.
But they do.
No, the promo was fine. I'm sure. I've got no problem with Thea Hale winning. I don't know if they'll do it, but I would have no problem with her winning. But
yeah, I don't see her being the one to take Roxanne Perez's title, though. I just don't see it. I see it being that new girl who they just signed. Maybe Stephanie. We'll say Valkyr. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but it's Vaquer. Apparently, that's a big signing for the WWE.
Yes.
I don't know anything about this young lady. I'm sure that we will find out about her in the next coming months. But from all accounts, it was a very good hire for the WWE. So we will see where that goes.
And Gilia, how do you say it? Gilia, and Stephanie Vakir. But they referenced both of them about in NXT. So, but yeah, no, I thought the promo was fine. They both look great, sounded pretty good, and Roxanne's fine on the mic. Just, do you see what I'm saying about sometimes, like when you can tell somebody's reciting lines?
I've never once thought that Roxanne Perez was doing a promo by herself. She sounds scripted.
Yeah.
Like half their roster sounds scripted. I'd say 90% of the people in NXT right now, their promos sound scripted.
Yeah,
Very few people sound natural.
But even with that said, her delivery compared to others is better than others. Yeah. But still, from on the microphone standpoint, I think Thea Hale definitely did better. But
yeah, I agree.
So, but I thought it was fine. Overall, it was fine. They both did fine. So,
yeah. So next up, though, we got your favorite Brooks Jensen versus Mr. Bouncy. We're getting bouncy with Javon Evans, and Javon Evans, Bouncy's stupid, but he is starting to grow on me a little bit because he is talented. I will give him that. He's very energetic in the ring. He's very young. He has a lot to learn. I think that there's problems with his gimmick from a main roster perspective, but I don't think the WWE has any intention of getting him up on the main roster anytime soon. I think that he's going to be one of the guys that follows in the footsteps of our Carmelo Hayes or Trick Williams as just a long-running champion on NXT at some point, not now, or maybe even a North American champion. I don't know, but he'll have a belt and he'll have it for a while. And I think that he's got a couple years before he comes into the main roster. But I think he's good. But he went up against Brooks Jensen, and he ultimately got the win by pinfall. But what were your thoughts on this match?
The match was fun, and I guess ultimately, if you want to call it a distraction by Josh Briggs, cost. I mean, essentially, Brooks Jensen kind of got his own way from a storytelling standpoint, but because Josh Briggs was out there just trying to keep an eye on him, hey, I vouch for you, so you're my responsibility, this and that. And Brooks Jensen's not bad in the ring at all. I enjoyed the match.
Most of them aren't.
I enjoyed the match at all. I mean, I enjoyed the match very much. But what I don't understand at all, just when they continue to give guys who can't talk on the microphone mic time, which they did later on with those two. And I don't get it, man. I don't. Let them wrestle.
I've told you. Wrestle. It's developmental. They got to learn somewhere, and the best place to learn is in front of tens of people, like at NXT, and let them get the reps there. Let them get the reps there. It's better there in the main roster. Now, if they come up in the main roster and are still giving them mic time, that's when we have a problem. But they stop that stuff once you get to the main roster. They're not giving anybody in the main roster much mic time if they can't talk. They might give
we'll get to a particular segment later.
Who?
Oh, that Bailey and Nia pre-taped interview.
Oh, that was awful. Yeah, it wasn't good. But they're was awful. Fine. Okay, but they're normally fine.
But the fact that was supposed to be a pre-taped segment and it was still that bad. Whew. Whew, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to
it.
My favorite backstage segment when Oro Mensah came backstage and yelled at Ava to give a match against Ethan Page, and Ethan Page said he didn't deserve it, and he said, "Let's give it to somebody deserving. Let's give it to the Singaporean sensation Dante Chen." It's what the crowd wanted, and then there was a pop, which I believe is not real, but maybe it was. I'm not sure.
Stop. Did you not see?
Not buying it. Nope, not doing it.
The signs were fake too. Stop it. Stop.
You've been a wrestling fan long enough to know that people have always said that WWE brings in signs and that they will bring in signs and make people put them up. That's what happens when you see a Dante Chen sign. No one's sitting at home saying, "Mom, Dad, get me tickets to see Dante Chen." No one has ever said that. I will not believe it. I don't care what you think. I don't care what they say. That's never happened. Those words have never been uttered, except for maybe by Dante Chen. It just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
All right.
Nope.
All right.
You will not change my mind.
All right. I like this match. It was, it wasn't very long, but and again,
I enjoy it too. Dante Chen's good. All kidding aside,
when talk about you kind of got thrown to the wolves sometimes, what he held his own in there with a great wrestler, and Ethan Page sold for him too. So
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and it was good, and I like his ego's edge too. I don't understand why it's so devastating, but I mean, just again, one of those when you compare it to some other moves that won't even get a 1 count in professional wrestling. I don't know, but
it's all about suspending disbelief.
Right, but it was fine. But the best part out of all this was after Page pinned him and he held up his hand and told him good job after when he was passed out. Oh, that was good.
Oh man, but good on him for getting a spot, a high intensity spot. I do question the placement of this match, and putting your main title in the middle of a show is a little weird to me. But
Yeah,
I mean, I guess I can understand it because it's Dante
I was
Chen.
gonna say just at this stage, hey, kudos to them for giving guys an opportunity on live TV at a main title, but Dante Chen's not ready for a 20-minute main event with Ethan Page.
Yeah, but just don't put it in the middle. Like
You think
OCM was after
thought
this.
should have opened the show.
Oh, you start
Okay.
or you finish. That's how it works with the title. And
Fair enough.
I guess with the way the match was came about, it would have been very hard to put at the beginning of the show. But Obafemi and Duke Hudson could have let off the show, and then they could have main evented. They've had some more questionable main events on NXT than this. I mean, they do some weird things with their match placement a lot of times, including this. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not too hung up about it. I just think it kind of devalues the title a little bit. I think it devalues Ethan Page a little bit by doing that. I mean, I guess he is a heel, so they don't care about devaluing him, but he's a talented heel who's main roster ready, so they shouldn't want to devalue him too much. My personal opinion. But after this match, there was a backstage segment with Trick Williams where he was on the phone with the Mad Dragon.
This is weird.
And it was very weird because Pete Dunne was clearly sitting there the entire time, just menacingly staring. And I was wondering the whole time, like, why is Pete Dunne there? And then I still don't know why Pete Dunne was there, for being honest, even though he did ask Pete Dunne, and apparently Pete Dunne was angry or upset or mad at Trick Williams asking for advice, which just doesn't seem very nice of Mr. Dunne. So that was very weird. I don't know why they thought this was necessary, unless they're trying to build a feud between Trick Williams and Pete Dunne, which, okay, Pete Dunne deserves better to be, if you're going to go back to NXT, put him like in a title scene. He doesn't need to be feuding with Trick Williams. Just take him back up to the main roster. He's too talented to be in a non-title storyline in NXT. Well, I think they
kind of had to scramble because his partner's going to be out for quite a while. So
have him be out then. I mean, they do that a lot in WWE. Yeah. Your partner's out, you're out. Yeah. That's fine. Keep him out of sight, out of mind, and then when he comes back, he can get a big pop with Pete Dunne. Don't just have him flounder while he's gone. You don't need to do that. They have so many guys on their roster. They need to get time. He doesn't need time. He doesn't need to be on the screen. You can have him off screen and let him get his chance and put him right back wherever he was in the card when he comes back. Yeah.
But I guess my biggest issue with this was asking him what to do. Paige isn't going to give me a title shot. What champion doesn't get a rematch? We talked about this before. It's like what? Like they all of a sudden decided that the previous champion doesn't get a rematch because it's not.
That's what they do.
It's not up to Ethan Page. It's up to Ava on NXT. So.
Yeah. But next up, we got Izzy Dame versus Tatum Paxley, and it's very creepy to see Tatum Paxley just appear under Izzy Dame right before the match starts, and she looks down and she's just looking up her skirt. I guess just an odd way to start things, and I get that it fits Tatum Paxley's persona.
My wife said, "Oh, no, I see why you like this so much."
A little odd. Yeah.
Told her that was preposterous.
You see Wendy Chu. Yeah. Then you see Wendy Chu, and you say, "Oh, okay," because Wendy's she's got a weird gimmick going right now.
And I kind of like it, and I'm surprised because at first I was like, "Oh gosh, what are they doing?"
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of like it. Uh, maybe it's just because the
Yeah.
paint reminds me of Jack Skellington, and I love that movie. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Okay. And you like weird. That's fine. No problem with that. No problem with that at all. Wrestling has something
they,
for everyone. So for all you wrestling fans, or all you non-wrestling fans out there, actually, that are watching this, all none of you, just just watch an episode. Watch an entire week's worth of shows. I am sure that between Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, there will be something
yeah.
that you like, because there's something for everyone. Even go watch
Oh,
AEW or watch
absolutely. No, I
TNA.
was just about to
Just
say that. I was just
watch
about
one
to
of
say that
everything.
because
Yeah.
everyone brings a little something different to the table, and I'm sure something for everybody who's a nerd.
If I had to guess, my wife would probably. She doesn't like wrestling. She'd probably like AEW. She might like that because she might like all the flips and all that kind of stuff, which doesn't appeal to me, but it appeals to some. But going back to this, Paxley beat Izzy by pinfall, and Kalani Jordan, I think she came out or no, ran into Paxley backstage at one point.
Yeah. Because she saw her and made some comment, and Kalani Jordan was like, said, I can't remember what it was, but she's like, oh no, well, I'll see you later. Like, because I guess she said something, was talking about the belt. And when she got away from her, then that's when Tatum Paxley pulled out a darker complected Barbie doll.
Yes.
So we'll see where that goes. But from a wrestling standpoint, I hope that match does happen because I think it would be very good. I'm going to say this till I'm blue in the face, but I really think they dropped the ball by not continuing to push Paxley after that very good triple threat match with her, Valkyria, and Perez, because she shined. The fans were invested fully behind her, and they just kind of dropped her out of the main scene after that. Well, I say that they did have her go to TNA and fight Jordan Grace, so they have enough confidence in her from a performance standpoint to let her go over there to a new group of fans. So, but from on the NXT show, they kind of I think have done her a disservice since that great triple threat match.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that WWE is following their formula. They take TNA's best, most popular wrestlers, and what we do is we give them our garbage.
That's not Tatum Paxley's not garbage.
And we give them our garbage.
Stop.
We give them our lower tier. We don't give them our top tier. They're not getting our champions. I'll tell you that. But after this, we got a backstage segment, which I know that you enjoyed, with Charlie Dempsey trying to get some advice from Tony D'Angelo about how to deal with a witness. I honestly wonder if Charlie Dempsey's ever talked to a person before. Like, sometimes when he talks, it's like, have you ever spoken to people? Because one, he wasn't looking at the dial while he was talking. He was just nodding his head and like acting like he was listening, but he was looking straight forward. Yeah. Like he's talking to himself. Like, what's he doing? Like, it seems easily correctable, or at least some of it seems easily correctable, but they're not correcting him, and I don't quite understand it.
I don't either. Of course, the Don was fantastic in this, but I like everything the Don does. But I I like how they're sticking to this. If they're doing the old school mob thing, they are sticking to it. As soon as he said it was a female witness, like, whoa, hey, you're on your own. I mean, like any mob like trope, whether it be from historical record or movies, it seems to be most of the time women and kids are off limits. So I thought that was good there, and but God, Charlie Dempsey, it did it to Don say, "Why don't you ask your dad what he would do?"
Yeah. Charlie's got a long way to go.
I like him in the ring. I do.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a good look, and he's not been the mic. His hair's stupid. He needs to change his hair. He needs to do a lot if he wants to make it on the main roster at some point. If he gets there, right now, I think it's only because of who his dad is. But I don't know. We'll see. All right, so next up we have Lola Vice versus JC Jane with Jasmine Nix. This was a short match at which saw Lola Vice get the win. So apparently she's just a full-on babyface now, and it didn't take long for that to happen, but she went from a full-on heel to a full-on babyface. I guess the transition started when she gave that fake emotional speech about her family. I didn't realize that was her turning babyface, but I guess it was. But that's where we are now. Now we're at her pairing up with Sol Ruka and Carmen Petrovich, which seems weird based off of where we've been with Lola Vice. But that's WWE logic. That's fine. It doesn't really matter all that much to me. I just think it's a little odd.
And yes, that by itself is odd. And excuse me. But also odd, they're doing all these segments with JC Jane. They're doing her showing up in matches and trying to build this formidable heel stable, and she's losing very quickly. I don't like that. It doesn't make sense. And again, I mean, I'm sure the multi-person match will be fine. Like we've said before, WWE is very good at those matches and booking them. So, but we've seen a lot of the people involved here in these matches before, and I don't know. I'm kind of confused with what they're doing here, but match is way too short. And I don't think they should be having her lose like that. But, oh well. I mean.
Lola Vice is the prize. She's the real prize. She's the one who is going to make a big splash in the main roster when the time comes. Just mark my words. Once they tweak that gimmick and let her just be who she is.
I think you're right.
She's got the look. She's got the fire. She's good. She just is awful on the mic, and but she's got some correctable issues, and I think that she's going to be the biggest star of this current crop when it comes time for the main roster. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But we'll see. Next up, we got the OC versus OTM. OC gets the win via pinfall. Festus and the crew getting it done. But yeah. What were your thoughts on this?
Just good. I'll be honest with you. I thought the street fight with Meechin and Jada Parker, I thought that was the end of the feud. Well, we've talked about this. That's usually a match like that is usually the end of the feud. But then, they brought the actual tag teams in with it. But OTM got a win, I think, against them. What was it, last week or the week before? It's like, okay, well, good for them putting over a young team, but now they have the OC win. I just don't see where they're going with this. I'm hoping it'll be a blow off tag match where OTM definitively beats them. But I like the match, and The Good Brothers sold all over the place for these guys. They made them look.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, made
True
them look
pros.
good. And I don't know if we were already recording for the show when I talked about that earlier. You know, I can see why they want guys like this working with the green guys. Every match they've been in has been fine. They had I think one team, it was their first match. Their first televised match was against them. And they did good. They made them look good. And so the match itself was fine. I was just surprised by the result. But
yeah. I mean, like you said, though, they will. I don't want to call them enhancement talent, but they're going to make everybody look good, and they're unselfish, which is important, especially when you have veteran leaders like them. They're here for a reason. They could be anywhere else, but they are here.
The thing
and
with
they're
that
here
is,
for a
though,
reason.
whenever you see them have these good matches with everybody, I just don't understand why they won't give them another run with the main roster titles. I mean, look at some of the teams that have had it. I mean,
with the way they're treating their titles now, there's no reason why they can't. They don't take those titles seriously. They're not treated as a serious title in their company, so just let everybody have it. Let everyone have a run with it. I wouldn't see a problem with that. Yeah, exactly. It's like when Braun Strowman teamed with Nicholas to win the tag team title.
Oh man, we could do a whole show on that. Travesty.
Yeah. That he came across the TikTok. He's got a TikTok page.
I think you did, but I can't remember.
Yeah. I think we might be following Nicholas on TikTok. Yeah. All right, but let's move on to the main event because it was a good one. It was Obafemi versus Duke Hudson for the North American Championship, with a match that was brought upon because of the ingenious of Ridge Holland getting this match for Duke Hudson, which he was reticent to take last week, but this week he was all in. And these two put on a show. Two big men who are super talented, one of which is super over, one of which the crowd loves. I just thought that they put on a very good big man match, especially for free television.
We'll get to that.
Did you get a chance to see that video I sent of Obafemi speaking in English? I would never have even contemplated that he was not African. I would never, ever
from Nigeria.
Well, okay. Yeah, fine. But I would never have I never contemplated that he was like he hasn't lived here his whole life and is Americanized and doesn't speak with a lick of an accent. He's just your normal. He just talks like a normal American who went to college and drank a lot of beer. That's how he talks. And but his shot put background makes a lot of sense for the way that he throws people around, like the way he threw Wesley around. Was it 1 or 2 weeks ago where he helicopter spun him across the entire ring? That's a shot put thing right there. Do you think that he will have an accent when he gets called up to the main roster?
Dude, he might, because this is working.
It is working, but eventually it's not going to work. And I feel like he's going to mess up one time, a la Kofi Kingston. And I really want to just talk to Kofi and ask if that was a work or a shoot when he just lost his accent that one time that he just forget, and they just had to run with it or what. But he's going to forget it one day. And it's going to be embarrassing. But I don't know. If they were ever going to get rid of it, it would be now. His real voice doesn't. I think the African powerhouse voice suits him a lot better than his actual voice, which I hate to say, but so I think that leads to that he should keep it. But I don't know. We'll see. But we don't need to go down that path.
Started
it. I did. What were your thoughts on this match, and what are your thoughts on Obafemi?
Oh, it was great. They're both great. And when you said free TV, just when I saw that, I was like, why was this not at Great American Bash or another PLE event? But I mean, because you knew what those two were capable of doing. I mean, we just saw it at the
For
last
sure.
PLE. Both of them. Like
Mm-hmm.
when Duke was in there in the tag match against Axiom and Frazier, and then obviously
Mm-hmm.
Obafemi and Wes Lee. So, but that that is a match that I bet afterwards you're like, man, we should have had that lead off the Great American Bash.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very good. And you don't really get that many big man matches anymore. Big versus big on the main roster. What was the last big man match that you can remember?
Like
Just
that.
big versus big, just going at it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess you're talking like overall size. So I'm assuming you're not including Braun and Damian Priest.
No,
Okay.
I will include them. They're
Man,
both big.
McIntyre, Priest.
Damian Priest is probably bigger than both of them. I don't really view Damian Priest as being a big man, but I guess I should because he is like 6'6", or so I should view him as being a big man. I don't. He just has such a slender. I don't want to say slender frame because he's not. He's
Yeah,
actually built pretty
like
solid.
me.
But I just don't. I don't. I don't. I just don't view him being that way. But I guess I'll take matches involving Damian Priest
Well, we
as
just
big
had
man
one a week
matches.
ago.
Yeah. He doesn't have I guess what it is he doesn't have a big man move set. I'll put it that way. His move set is not big man. These two guys have a big man move set. Damian Priest does not have that. He's not going to overpower you in the ring. He's going to finesse you. So in terms of last time we had two big men who fight like big men in the WWE go at each other.
I mean, one that sticks out to me is one of my favorite matches over the past, I don't know, however many years, especially on free TV, was the Big Show and Braun Strowman when they main evented a Raw several years ago. That was a fantastic match. One that, I mean, obviously I thought it was good because it was an episode of Raw that not with no title implications that I remember like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Or Braun versus Brock.
Yeah.
Brock's a big
but
man.
most of those matches I think were on PLE. I guess I'm thinking like free TV right now. But I was...
Well, regardless, these two put on a good match. And I think Obafemi's ready for the main roster. If we're talking about guys ready for the main roster, I think that he's ready. So the question is, who takes the title off of him? Or could they just have him vacated?
Well,
so
no,
he doesn't have to lose.
This was interesting because they're already kind of giving indications of what direction for it's either going to be is it Orsa versus Ethan Page. Looks like the direction they're going. If it's not Trick involved somehow, a Great American Bash, looking like it's going to be Roxanne versus Thea. But there's not much time to build for Oba. So I'm curious to see who they shuffle out to the ring next week to confront him. But man, I agree though. He's good. He's good.
Well,
that match was very good. Overall, I mean, besides the length of the JC Jane Roxanne match, I thought this was a very good episode of NXT. They already set the stage for a former brother mentor mentee match next week with Briggs versus help me here.
Briggs versus
Brooks Jensen. Brooks Jensen.
Who's he fighting?
Sorry.
Yeah.
They already set the stage for that. No disqualification match. And so
We didn't even touch on the fact they just made Briggs a babyface out of nowhere, but
yeah,
okay.
that was kind of weird too. I mean, he was on the shelf for a little bit before they did that, but then again, it's like, where is this going? You know, they already had Brooks Jensen, this whole angle with him interfering and going crazy and getting reinstated, losing his first match back. And they've been running this
Mm-hmm.
same vignette with Josh Briggs. And now he is more likely about to lose to Brooks Jensen next week. And it's just
For sure.
again,
Good.
just kind of I don't understand sometimes the logic here, but hey, we say that all the time and we're still here watching. So
Exactly.
so
Exactly. All right, well, let's move on to Friday Night SmackDown, which kicked off the show with the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, addressing the crowd and being confronted by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, and it took a little bit of help from Bud Crawford to help him overcome. I'm surprised that they have boxing guys now getting involved with their partnership with TKO, being an UFC company, and them getting boxers involved. The main competitor, that's all three combat sports now we're dealing with. I'm just a little surprised that Bud Crawford agreed or was allowed to, or they asked him to get involved and assist Cody Rhodes.
I'm not, because obviously they have some sort of advertising partnership, at least for his upcoming fight, because they advertised his fight during this episode, and I think multiple times actually they advertised it. So I don't know if that's like a Fox branded partnership, like for who's putting on the because it was kind of weird, because at first when I saw it I thought it was in Saudi Arabia, but then it's definitely said it was in LA. But they had some of the similar logos you see like from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the WWE PLEs that on the advertisement for that. But I thought excuse me. I thought they missed an opportunity later on in the show when Logan Paul was out there. I thought they could have had him say, "Hey, I'm glad Bud Crawford's here so he can see what a real boxer looks like in the ring." Yeah,
Oh, that'd have been good.
But yeah, I guarantee that the promoters for his upcoming fight said, "Okay, we will allow him to fold a chair and hand it to Cody Rhodes, but he is not allowed to even attempt going over the barricade or walking upstairs because we're not losing this fight."
Yeah.
But I love Bud Crawford, man. And
he's good.
And
very good.
And especially, because dude, before he finally got the bigger names to quit dodging him, and I know a lot of that's the promotions and dealing with that nonsense, but once he finally got to show that skill set against the top guys and just destroy them, I mean, hey, there's no denying it now. But anyways, when I saw him not even attempt to go over the barricade, I was like, okay, he was under strict instructions. You are not to get in that ring whatsoever and do anything other than hand off a chair.
Too much money at hand to risk anything happening.
But I did think they missed an opportunity for a Logan Paul line in there. But
no, you're right. You're right. But next up, we got the first match of the night. It was him versus Andrade, or Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. And Andrade got the win because Carmelo Hayes is a jobber. Sorry, you're learning it. You're learning it. He's a jobber. He will always be a jobber. He should be on 205 Live. The newly coming back 205 Live, hosted by me.
This match.
But am I wrong at this point? Has he won?
No.
When was the last time he won?
No. I know you're wrong, but I see what you're saying about him. I'm telling you, they're long-term oriented now. There's a reason they picked him when they did. And his time is coming, whether it be North American title or the main championship after a Money in the Bank cash in. Just because at this point,
You mean the US
what did
title?
I say?
North American.
Yes, the U.S. title. I'm sorry, but
no, I agree with you. He's going back to NXT because he can't cut on the main roster. So,
but man, that was a good match. That was a very good match.
Mm-hmm.
I could see, and this is the only thing about long-term storytelling like that on SmackDown, because that belt is staying within the bloodline or on Cody for probably the next year. And so,
yeah,
I think essentially we're going to have to wait till next year's Money in the Bank to see if somebody's going to potentially take that away via cash in, because Andrade to me is a believable champion. He's good.
And he's got the backing of the greatest women's wrestler of all time, who can probably make them give him a title.
He's definitely
we'll
definitely
see.
got the he's got the moveset, and when guys that big can do some of those, a good blend of the high flying and the power stuff, it's no, but this was a very good match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great way to, well, it didn't kick off the show, but great way for wrestling wise to kick off. But
yeah,
what'd you think about it?
I enjoyed it. El Idolo is very talented. He's got an interesting style because he mixes well different techniques with his lucha style, but he's also, he's got some bruiser in him. He's really just, in the ring, he's a total package. His moveset is great. He's very good. Carmelo Hayes is good too. My issues with him are not based off of, again, like I say with most people, my issues are not based off of in-ring. With him, my issues are based off of his size. I think he's limited with how small he is. But this was a good match. Andrade got the win, which, in this match, somebody had to lose.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this situation, it was Carmelo Hayes. I don't think that either one could really afford a loss, but someone had to get one. So Andrade got the win, 1, 2, 3. And yeah, so let's though move on to Bianca Belair versus Chelsea Green.
By far the worst match of of any of the 3 shows. This is completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And
no, it was bad.
And I thought they were starting to, and I know we've talked about this, I felt that once they saw her, it gave her a chance to kind of remind a TV audience that she's a great wrestler in that match against Roxanne Perez a few months ago in NXT. They started, it was still a lot of the same Chelsea Green humor in the segments, but it was turning a little more serious tone to me in the ring. And then we get this squash. And I just, I don't get it. Especially coming off the performance she put on in the ladder match. And I just thought it was
the way they handle her reminds me a lot of her husband. And just kind of stop and start. And just when you think they're going to get a push, they don't. And they ultimately put the IC title on Zack Ryder when he won the ladder match at WrestleMania 32, I think it was. But I just don't think that they view her as somebody who they can actually put the title on when they absolutely could. They absolutely could, and she would be a great heel. She would be entertaining, and I just think they should give her a run. Let her sink or swim. See what happens, and then go from there.
It was
yeah.
I just don't get it, man, with these short squashes, especially with the talent that's involving. It just doesn't make. But they did it. They did it the Raw earlier in the week, I think, with Zelina Vega, and I just don't.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. But anyway, so
neither do I.
And I'm just waiting to see, based on the video segment after the match, it looks like Bianca and Jade are going to get their rematch for the titles at SummerSlam, and I'm wondering if that's going to be when the breakup finally happens. So
could be.
Yeah.
It's going to happen eventually. Might as well do it now. Yep. Rip the Band-Aid off. Don't wait until Survivor Series. Do it now.
See. But then again, too, it's like, I guess it depends on when they want that to happen. If they think they should save it till Mania, then we're going to have to wait a while. So we'll see. Because, I mean, that's something that could easily be set up for one of them eliminating the other at the Rumble. So... anyways, we'll see. But this match itself was horrible, especially considering the talent involved. Completely unnecessary to have a squash like that. But
agreed. But I'll tell you, a match that was not a squash was another women's wrestling match: Michin versus
Tiffy time. This is good,
and it was good, and I'm glad. We've talked about Michin being underrated and her not necessarily getting the spot that she deserves for her hard work. I mean, I'm not going to say she doesn't get the spot she deserves, but she doesn't get the spot that I'm sure she wants. And I'm glad that they threw her a bone by letting her have a match against Tiffany Stratton this week. And I also like how after the briefcase was destroyed, a contract fell out, because that's what's supposed to be in there. But I can assure you that it's normally not. Normally, there's nothing in there, because there have been a couple times where the briefcases is flung open, and we've seen there be nothing in there. I think it happened one time when Brock had the briefcase and he was doing the whole boombox stuff. Fairly certain that nothing fell out of the briefcase, but here something did. So glad that happened. Mia Yim actually got the win. And I'm fine with her getting the win based off of the way she got the win.
Agreed.
I don't really have a problem with it. But if it was clean, then I would have had a problem with it. But what were your thoughts on the result?
I agree. Still not a big fan of her losing after getting the briefcase, but they've done that for years. But but yeah,
it's not losing. It's how you lose. That's what matters in wrestling. But you lost.
It was fun. Always disappointed when I don't get to see the prettiest moonsault ever. But it did a few things. It furthered ongoing storylines, and we're going to get the customized briefcase now, which is what they've already teased. So, but
and that's why they destroyed that one. That's why they destroyed that one. So we will. We'll see it soon.
We touched on this earlier. That pre-taped, whether it was pre-taped or not, that interview with Nia and Bailey, that was bad. It
wasn't great. It wasn't great. It's not really Bailey's strong suit, the mic. She's not bad at it, but it's definitely not her strong suit.
I wasn't a fan of it, and nothing that was necessarily said bothered me about it, but just the delivery of it, I didn't really care for. But
100%. I agree. Wasn't great.
Anyways, but I like how now they're putting more attention on Bailey, because it was kind of like they kind of forgot about her for a while, but now they're doing it and they're making her look like more of a threat now, and trying to I like what they're doing on Raw with Damian Priest. Like before the past few weeks, it was almost like a foregone conclusion that Gunther and Nia were going to win, but now it's like, okay, we're going to book these things this way or that way, so at least some doubt creeps in. So,
yeah.
anyways, but what was next?
Next was the main event.
Oh wait, no, we're missing something. Logan Paul.
Oh yeah. Logan Paul, you are correct. Logan Paul came out with LA Knight and Adam Pearce for a contract.
Yeah.
Not Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis for a contract signing. A good old-fashioned contract signing, which Nick Aldis had already signed. He was just waiting for the signatures from the two of them. And this was in my opinion, your normal contract signing. It's the way that it goes almost every single time that it goes. I did like that Logan Paul called LA Knight by his government name. It's a little interesting, but nothing all that special here. They exchanged their barbs back and forth, signed the contracts, and then we got the main event. So, what were your thoughts? It was
fine. Like I said, big opportunity missed, I think, for him to take a poke at Bud Crawford. But I think, maybe that was because they knew that they couldn't book. I think had they if Crawford wasn't about to have a match, I think they would have booked him in that segment. You don't think so?
I don't think so. I just still find it odd that he was even there with their partnership with the UFC.
Tyson Fury's been there multiple times. Tyson Fury's fought.
That's true. But not since
that's true. That's true.
Not since TKO took over.
But you know as well as I do, just because they have that partnership, they're not going to pretend like the best boxer in the world doesn't exist.
No, I hear you, but they don't have to highlight it. They don't have to put him in the ring and get him in a match or anything like that. Like he could have just been in the crowd, give him one of these, and he does a little 2-piece on camera.
No, I think he should have knocked out Logan Paul.
I think so too. Brass knucks to Logan Paul from Bud Crawford, but no,
the segment was fine. I'm just wondering. This match has to kick off SummerSlam, doesn't it? Being in Cleveland, it has to.
That's the card. When it comes time for us to do our predictions, we can talk about who we think is going to lead off or not. But I think so, probably.
Yeah,
if I need the rest of the card.
Because I'm telling you right now, if this was a 2-night SummerSlam, I think this main event's night 1. If it was the 2-nighter, just because of where it is.
No.
And their partnership with Logan Paul and Prime.
I think this goes in the middle of the card. I think the first match is going to be Punk versus McIntyre. I think that's match 1.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And then Solo, unfortunately, Solo Cody is.
Oh yeah, they've already announced that. So
yeah, so you can't put, with everything that's gone on. I don't think you can put Drew, Punk in the middle of the card, or even second to last. I think that has to be first.
Yeah,
we'll see though. We'll see. But I'll tell you what's last. We got a tag match between A-Town Down Under and Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And I was wondering for a long time during this show, why is A-Town Down Under getting in the main event? How are they getting involved in this? I still have that question, but at least now I realize that it was more just so that they could be sacrificial lambs to the bloodline. And I don't really care about the match.
It was a good match.
Let's talk about the beatdown after the match. It was a good match.
Yeah.
Rhodes and Owens got the win against Therian Waller.
Did you say
Theory and Waller.
Oh, Theory. I thought you said Damian Waller. I was like, what? Okay,
No,
okay.
Theory and Waller. Austin Theory. You had me questioning what I said for a second. Against Theory and Waller. They got the win, which should have surprised not one of the four of you watching this. But yeah, still, this is just more to set up what happened afterwards. But we can talk about the match for a little bit. What were your thoughts on the match?
Good to see Owens back. From what it sounds like, his mother is doing better. And so good to see him back. Somebody said it online, and I agree. To a degree, SmackDown is getting a little too predictable. Because and it's like the same people. And maybe if it was with a different cast of characters, but it's not. Like, from the original iteration of the Bloodline, like, they're still going after Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And but dude, I can watch Jacob Fatu squash people all day.
Well, I said let's talk about the match real quick first. Then we can talk about the beatdown afterwards. We can stop talking about the match. It's not important. It has no implications on anything. But Jacob Fatu, I texted you this right after I saw SmackDown. I said that he is a star. You know why I said that? Because he is a star. When he caught one of those two on his back and then into a Samoan drop, it was poetry. And the way that he runs and he turns his back and hits the turnbuckle while the person's sitting in the turnbuckle like he's crushing their face, even though he's clearly not. He does it with such ferocity, where it's like, man, he's moving. He's got speed. He's got strength. Sure as hell has the look.
That move he does package. Reminds me of, with the speed and the way he does it, it reminds me of that the running double knees Andrade does, because he's got a run and start when he does that too. And they both make it look great.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But he's going places. I would much, and I mean much, rather see Cody versus Jacob Fatu than Cody versus Solo at SummerSlam. And WWE, I can understand why, and I'm sure the internet rumors were not true, but they all said, and I think we've touched on this, that the reason why they were waiting on Jacob Fatu is because they were concerned that he was going to overshadow Cody. Overshadow Solo. And guess what? In my opinion, he's overshadowing Solo. He's just more interesting. He's just more interesting. He just has it. I can't explain it. He just has it.
And I'm looking forward to him versus Roman. Oh, it's happening.
Yeah, I hope we get that.
It's definitely happening.
But don't all roads lead to Solo versus
all roads? Roman? I see what you did there.
Oh.
Yeah, but at some point...
That would be an American nightmare.
Yes. At some point, though, I think we're going to get Roman versus Jacob Fatu.
I think we're probably a year and a half out from that.
Or even if we get it at Survivor Series, a War Games match, I'd be just seeing them in the ring with each other for a few minutes. I'd be happy with that.
He hasn't had a match yet, right?
He fought a solo match. I don't think so. But now I'm second guessing that. I'm trying to think if the intro that popped in my head was from just them first introducing him.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to see if I can find out that information. see if my marbles are full of mouth today. The answer is
Okay.
no. He had that Money in the Bank 6-man tag, and that was his only in-ring matches in the WWE. Only in-ring match in the WWE. So I wonder who they're going to have his first match against. Whoever it is, he's obviously going to get the win. It'll probably be somebody a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they're going to make it Waller or Theory. I think that would be a good first match for
No,
for him.
because they've got the tag team turmoil match next week on Raw, and I think the Bloodline's about to take the tag team titles.
Who?
It's Tonga and it's Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. But
okay, all right, should do some good botches.
I think, but I wouldn't be surprised because they've referenced that already. They've referenced coming after. They've referenced the tag team titles, and I could definitely see, especially with the history with the first version of the Bloodline, I could definitely see Jacob Fatu eventually getting the U.S. title from LA Knight. And then, I could see them having all the gold on SmackDown at some point. So we shall see.
Okay, I could see that. And I think that wraps up this episode of SmackDown, which means that this wraps up the episode of the Golden Squeeze podcast.
Indeed.
Number 36. We are moving along. We did it. Let's all wish Wade well as he battles through a disease that we thought that we had beat. And we will see you on episode 36 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, there goes two.